We're on the PEP Radio Newsroom. This is the daily news for March 10th, 2026. These are the stories we are covering at this hour. President Trump says Iran would have taken over the Middle East if he hadn't acted. If I didn't hit them first, they were going to hit our allies first. I believe upon information and belief, the president told reporters before adding they were going to take over the Middle East. Upon information and belief is a phrase often used in legal settings, including in affidavits. It is usually meant to denote declarations that a statement is based on second-hand information, but is also believed to be true by the speaker. Trump was indicted in 4 criminal cases and also faced civil charges related to his business practices before returning to the White House. He's no stranger to being in court or talking to lawyers. In a related story, the widening Iran war has upended oil production and shipping across the Middle East, straining energy supplies worldwide. Now, those disruptions caused oil to spike Monday, only for it to swiftly fall back after President Donald Trump suggested the war could be near an end. The price of Brent crude, the international benchmark, briefly surged to $119.50 per barrel on Monday, its highest level since the summer after Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022. West Texas Intermediate, which is produced in the United States, also soared to $119.48 per barrel at one point, but those prices fell to under $90 late Monday as markets made significant reversals after Trump told CBS News he thinks the war is, quote, very complete, end quote. Since that's much higher than the $70 a barrel crude was selling for before the U.S. and Israel launched the war against Iran on February 28th. Turning to news from Oregon, a federal judge in Oregon on Monday restricted federal officers from using tear gas at protests at the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement building in Portland in response to a lawsuit filed by the ACLU of Oregon on behalf of protesters and freelance journalists. U.S. District Judge Michael Simon issued the preliminary injunction after a 3-day hearing in which the plaintiffs, including a demonstrator known for wearing a chicken costume, a married couple in their 80s, and 2 freelance journalists testified about having chemical or projectile munitions used against them. The lawsuit, whose defendants include the Department of Homeland Security, argues that federal officers' use of such munitions is a retaliation against protesters that chills their First Amendment rights. Plaintiffs provided numerous videos which were received in evidence and unambiguously showed DHS officers spraying OC spray directly into the faces of peaceful and nonviolent protesters engaged in, at most, passive resistance and discharging tear gas and firing pepper ball munitions into crowds of peaceful and nonviolent protesters, Simon wrote, using the term OC spray to refer, of course, to pepper spray. And finally, we have this news from Pennsylvania. A Pennsylvania state police trooper was shot and killed by a man he had pulled over in a traffic stop Sunday night, authorities said. Corporal Tim O'Connor was killed as he approached the car when the driver fired from inside the vehicle, the state's acting police commissioner, Lieutenant Colonel George Bivens, said in an early Monday morning news conference at Paoli Hospital in Chester County. The shooter, identified by police as Jesse Nathan Elks, age 32, from nearby Honeybrook, then got out of the car, walked a short distance away, and shot and killed himself with a pistol, Bivens said. O'Connor was a 15-year veteran of the state police who was married and had a young daughter, authorities said. Anybody you talk to tells you what a great guy he was, Bivens said. Governor Josh Shapiro said at the news conference that he told O'Connor's wife, Casey, and parents that there were many questions about the shooting, but the one thing that we absolutely know for certain is that their son, their husband, was a hero and he died protecting others. And that's News Blast for this hour. Actually, it's the daily news for this hour. PEP Radio is available on the Live 365 app, the PEP Radio page at paequality.com, Roku, Apple TV, and Alexa. If you are watching our news content On our YouTube channel, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel. Up next, we have the PEP Radio weather forecast for the Meadville area, right here on PEP Radio.